share with my knowledge, experience, and hear from you your feedbacks, comments, how we can interact in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amit. And that brings me to start and kicking off these sessions, the dialogues. So this will be having a quite open format. We will be introducing about particular topics which we are going to discuss in next 5 minutes each. Then we will have a Q&A for 10-15 minutes, and this will be open Q&A. You can also send your question or directly unmute and ask to our speakers. Also, if there are some experts in the session, they want to contribute, they can definitely unmute and give their opinion about that subject as well. So it's open forum. And end definitely we will be concluding. Michael will be doing that what we have gathered from these dialogues and how India is poised to become developed nation, not only developed, but responsible and sustainable too. So good evening and warm welcome to Future Escape India 2047 Dialogues. And my topic today, and I hope my screen is visible now. I believe it is, you can see my screen, right? With the presentation. So it is a quick presentation, which I would like to show you guys. And today conversation is about part of climate puzzle. Okay. That both the biggest and the least understood as on date. The emissions that sits outside the factory gate, inside supply networks, and deep within value chain. And that is what I want to set context with. For most company, nearly 3/4 of their climate footprint is not in their own operation, but it is in scope 3 or lying in the value chain emissions. And that hide across supply chain. Yet in India, supply chain decarbonization, it is still in infancy, and I believe it's still in blind spot. Even as net zero targets multiply and investor pressure on value chain carbon intensifies, still we are in infancy stage today. The event positions India supply cluster not just its boardrooms as the real battleground where 2047 net zero story will be won or lost, right? Before I go any further and establish a fact why scope 3 for India at 2047 is essential, let me introduce myself. So myself, Vivek Suman, few of you definitely know me. And who doesn't know me? I have 21 years of experience. And since 2019, I am practicing sustainable investing by looking into IPOs and transaction. I'm a hardcore transaction advisor, worked with companies like Grant Thornton in past, and also handles positions like CFO in solar power company, smart metering company, as well as in LML Scooter, which is EV manufacturing. They have come recently. So I have helped all these companies. I'm a sustainable investor, as well as I hold sustainable investing certificate from CFA Institute. I'm a CFA charter holder too. So that's my financial background. And I do such kind of initiatives, discussions, awareness sessions all the time. A lot of you know because I also help you in your career upgrades and consultancy assignments. So let's start with understanding the first part, that net zero part, why has a supply chain challenge today. India value chain are MSME heavy. Today in India, more than 90% of companies are in MSME sector, fragmented and often informal. More than 70% of suppliers lacks even basic digital infrastructure. Forget about any better infrastructure there, or emission visibility. Without bringing these suppliers into climate transition, corporate net zero roadmap risk is becoming a PowerPoint driven agenda, yeah, which people like us are trying to describe and detail. At the same time, decarbonized supply chain open a green growth for, and that is the opportunity for India today, specifically in manufacturing sector, where currently Make in India is focusing. Yeah, manufacturer has to lead this low carbon exports and climate production in the scenario where we are expecting CBAM to becoming a greater menace than our export business itself. We have already tariffs seeing from US, and soon enough we'll be seeing from UK. UK CBAM is getting applied by this month end itself, and European Union by next year. Amit will be going and delivering that part, specifically in textile sector and detailing it, while Michael will be talking about biophilic design. Now, core challenges we face is three barriers which stands out today. We have understood that very clearly long ago, but is still unable to address it. And the first one is visibility. Visibility of emission across thousands of suppliers, right? Robust methodology for measurement is the second one. We don't have a standardized system for measuring carbon accounting. We are referring GHG protocol. We are referring ISO 14064, but a standardized one looking into Indian condition is very much essential today. Global evidence, including MIT and CDP data report, which has been published recently, shows a severe data inconsistency in our reports. Reliance on spend-based estimates, specifically in scope 3, is making our life further difficult. And the lack of a standardized framework across industry is another trouble, right? So on an average, supply chain scope 3 emissions are about 26 times. 26 times. That's the real number we are talking about, okay? Why it is important? Understand that this is that hidden emission which has lot of challenges, right? The challenge is not about complexity alone. It is about the scale. The number are startling. The latest analysis from BCG and CDP, Carbon Disclosure Project, now known as CDP only, reveals the true scale of this hidden footprint. The average corporation supply chain scope 3 emissions are a staggering 26 times greater than the operational emission itself, which are scope 1 and 2 emission, as we know, combined. So think about that 26 times, right? This statistics make it very clear that focusing solely on direct operations is simply rearranging the deck of chairs on a Titanic, the ship which was about to get drawn, right? This hidden footprint is where the fight for net zero will be won or lost. Given this overwhelming scale, we need a clear framework for action. That's what I think and believe in. Three pillar of action I have already told you is a scale, mapping, and engagement. 75% of emissions are indirect, as you are aware about, and this is the average number. In most of the industry, it exceeds 90%, specifically the service businesses, right? Which India has 63% of its matrix. 63% is alone is service businesses, where we have more than 90% emission coming from indirect emission. The MIT report, State of Supply Chain Sustainability 2024, actually confirms this data. They said roughly globally, 75% of total corporate emission is in scope 3. This means three-quarters of climate impact associated with a company is outside of their direct control. Understanding and addressing this 75% is fundamental of achieving any meaningful climate impact of tomorrow, right? That's what the focus should be. Now, if you see the investor pressure, that is rising now. We have looked into that 75% emissions across investments of fraternity. Now we are asking our investees to address this area. Disclosure is no longer optional, even in India. BRSR doesn't suggest it, doesn't mean we as an investor will allow that. Disclosure is no longer optional. We see 70% of global investors are interested in sustainable investing, and 70% believe strong ESG practices deliver higher returns. Those two are also very critical, interesting statistics. And CDP emphasizes that disclosure is first step to the meaningful first step, right? And climate performance is now directly linked to financial risk and investor return. And this is the bottom line. But the pressure is also on the opportunity, which brings us to the core business case. And what is that case? That if a business case need to be developed for action, you have to have resilience, cost saving, and market access. These are the critical factors in order to make Scope 3 investment lead to greater supply chain transparency and sustainable sourcing as well. And this has been established and looked into. Better businesses outcome is another advantage here. Now, while business case is clear, in India, challenge is amplified by the dominance of MSME, the micro, small, medium enterprises, which are very much part of any large company, including Maruti, Reliance, etc. These MSMEs form the backbone of our supply chain, yet face significant hurdles. And hurdles are they are limited in capacity and financial constraint, right? For complex emission reporting and technology infrastructure specifically. We also see major digital divide here, a knowledge gap regarding the emission accounting standard and supporting MSME engagement is no longer optional. It is fundamental to India net zero journey of 2070 and India being a responsible and sustainable economy of 2047. Supporting MSME engagement is no longer optional to large company as well. I think they have to take the first hand approach. And this is the fundamental to India journey towards a developed nation as well, right? Where the larger companies start looking after their supply chain network, specifically in these areas where they might not have capacity or the financial willpower. Second trouble is data quality crisis, right? Data outliers are well known in Indian market. Inconsistent and extreme values are always available, which skews the analysis to make a comparison unreliable. And that's a fundamentally flawed. This manifests the three ways: the data outlier, inconsistent methodology, and lack of standardization. The core problem is that we cannot benchmark or target action effectively with poor data, right? This is my last slide for the day, and then I will be inviting Michael to take over and then Amit to speak about his topic as well. Now, problem is estimation, solution is also into activity data estimation. We have established the biggest hurdle, which is data quality crisis, right? The evolution pathway is solving this is, and this is clear. Okay, we must move from crude estimates to granular discussions, reliable supply data. Specifically, the MIT Sustainable Supply Chain Lab articulates this necessary progression in supply chain scope 3 calculations. We start with a spend based, enough of that. We need to go to high level calculation based on how much spend with a supplier is actually unit wise emitting a carbon dioxide equivalent emission. This is necessary first step, but lacks the accuracy for real action. We have to move from average data approach to using industry averages to refine those number to company specific reports, right? That is what they expected it. But the ultimate goal is that the only level which enables targeted and effective climate action is the third tier, and that is supplier specific data, specifically for the industry like cement, steel, textile, and others, and construction. And both construction and a textile we are covering today. In next session, we will try to cover other critical sector like cement and steel as well. This is that level activity data which we are going to target, and we will be listening from our other speaker how that can be possible. Thank you very much for patience hearing. Now I'm handing over to Michael A. Katz. Michael.
Good afternoon. I'm not going to be giving a bunch of slides. I'm going to be basically speaking about biophilic design. And I'm not sure if everybody here understands what the term actually means. And what it actually means is that we have exposure to daylight and life, plants, anything that is living within our work environments, our learning environments, and our health environments. And what we found over the last 40, 50 years is that when we enhance the environment of our work with these type of better daylight, having plants surrounding, which are also giving more oxygen in the air, that productivity goes up by a large amount, 20 to 30%. Studies have shown, I'm giving studies, uh, or I'll give you some real examples from the States because we don't have too much quantifiable data outside of the US and Europe. But it's been found in, uh, and I'll start with the school sector in New York, for instance. New York public schools, they have a 90.5% daily attendance rate, 9.5% absence rate, 1.1 million students. So that's a 180-day school year, resulting in 19 million absences annually. Now, the biophilic benefit, daylit schools reduce absences by 3 days per year per student per citywide daylighting could re-engage 297 million in taxpayer funds. Now, I can't give you the correlation between these at the moment. I want to be more just broad, but I will provide how these are calculated to anyone who wants to know these actual figures. But they have an impact on everything because parents having students at home, the absences adjusted for women's wages and stay-at-home parents. Because when you have this, with 3 fewer absences per student, they calculated almost 250 million savings. The next sector I'm going to talk about is the crime sector and the biophilic benefit. Living near vegetated landscapes reduces crime by 7%. And in New York City, data, they found 105,000 felonies per year, and the median sentence of 3 years. Incarceration cost 80,000 per estimate per inmate. The estimated savings of 7% felony reduction could save 1.7 billion in incarceration cost. I mean, these things are all very quantifiable. In worker productivity, New York City gross city product 540 billion annually. Conservative office-based sectors, finance, insurance, real estate, information, professional services, 157 billion, excludes healthcare and government offices. The absenteeism rate, 3% in the private sector, leading to 4.7 billion lost productivity. The biophilic benefit, biophilic work environments reduce absenteeism by 10%. They could recoup 470 million a year. Now, going into healthcare, cost savings due to biophilic hospital recovery rooms. And this is a national estimate in the US. I won't go too specific, but I have a lot of the data. Nature views, just having nature views over gardens and things like this, reduces stays by 8.5%. The average per diem post-surgery is $5,000 US. The estimated savings, if all patients had nature views, average stay reduces to 4.39 days, saving $2,000 per patient or 93 million nationally, annually. This is a rough estimate based on local implementation. So we know that there's benefits in this. Now, implementation, which we've discovered and in our work in buildings in Oman and in the Middle East, I'm pushing a lot of using native plants because they take 10% of the water. And India has lots of native plants and lots of plants that don't take about a lot of water, but there's also medicinal plants. And these plants have a dual purpose. They can be used not only to effectuate the biophilic effect, but they can be utilized in medicines and everything for even staff in offices or in medical facilities. We plan to do something like this in our new hotel project in Oman. So we know all of this. So we need to implement, especially in schools, especially in rural schools. There has to be more involvement in students from young ages in plants and surrounding the classrooms or being within the classroom areas. But it's also an educational benefit as well. What we're going to talk about in the future, what I'm going to be speaking about is giving more of this information to anybody who wants to utilize it. And what I'd like to just touch on is the trends in sustainable finance. It continues to evolve rapidly in 2025, driven by regulatory pressures, technological advancement, market demands for climate resilience and social impact. The global sustainable finance market reached over 8.2 trillion in 2024, up 17% from the previous year. And though it faces ongoing headwinds, economic uncertainty, and regional disparities, issuances volumes hit 432 billion in quarter two 2025, which signals robust growth amid consolidation and simplification efforts. The key trends that are shaping that landscape are regulatory consolidation and enforcement, transition finance and decarbonization, sustainable bonds and financial instruments, integration of AI and technology. AI is a double-edged sword. It powers ESG data analysis and efficiency, but raises energy consumption concerns. Trends include AI for risk modeling and sustainable tech investments, balancing innovation and environmental impact. So this is an interesting challenge. Biodiversity and nature-based solutions. Rising focus on biodiversity integrates with finance, with metrics for nature-positive investments, gaining traction alongside climate goals. This includes funding for ecosystem restoration, influencing capital markets and corporate strategies. ESG funds and investor preferences. Sustainable finance trends in 2025. I'll close with that and open for any questions, but I think Vivek will be speaking on the finance aspect as well in our future webinars or our events.
Indeed.
And I'm just touching on some of the broad scope, but there is so much in this that importantly, there is a positive future. There is positive trends. We are making headway. Despite all of the doom and gloom that a lot of people are speaking about, actually, I have much more confidence we're on the right track. And I believe in man's ability to adapt, and especially in India. I think it's going to be at the forefront.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
We will be taking opinion and questions immediately after Amit opening, and then we can go into discussion. So we will have another 20 minutes for open discussion where you can put your point of view as well. Yeah, so we are happy to listen your point of view or your question and suggestions. Amit, go ahead with your opening.
So just sharing, yeah. I hope my screen is visible. It's loaded.
I like your cover, Amit.
That's good. Yeah. So
Very,
yeah,
very
yeah.
creative.
So we are going ahead with the Futurescape in the series 2047. So in our starting session, we are covering the weaving a green future, especially for the decarbonization pathway for the Indian textile industry. So that is we are covering. Before going to the on that challenge aspect, I like to give an opportunity that we are going to get in from the decarbonization pathway. If you see in the 2019, the circular model of the finance industry was covering only 73 billion US dollar, but it is estimated to grow up to $700 billion by 2030. So it's not just a transition, it's also giving the opportunity to get huge market trends. And beside that, we are also reducing the carbon emission by 1/3. That will be aligning with our 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway. So for the circular business model, basically we are going for the renting, reselling, the repair and the remaking of the things, the waste textile cloths that we are doing ahead. Now coming on the Indian textile industry, it's basically on the critical inflection point. We have a global regulations, we have a domestic reality challenges that we are facing, and the innovation that is coming forward for the especially the textile sectors. So coming to the first force, that the global market, it's a legislating sustainability that is coming from the CBAM. Europe has already implemented for this particular sectors, 6 sectors that we are covering: the aluminum, steel, cement, fertilizers. So in future, the textile could also be a potential component for that aspect. Why? Because it's a very carbon intensive. If you see the textile, it's a second to the polythene industry than other industries. So that's why it's a future coming aspect on the carbon emissions. If you don't comply with the CBAM norms, what is going to impact? It's not only the tax that it is going to have, you will lose your market opportunity also. So that is basically a challenge that in future it's coming forward for you. How CBAM is impacting? Basically, if you see Indian export, if you see for the 2023 data, it's roughly 17% Indian exports were happening for the European countries. Out of that, roughly 26% is covers under the CBAM. If you see the for the textile sectors, we are only having a GHG emission data for the 21% of the industry for the scope 3. So that this shows that where we are lacking. Is that also it's not the 21% covering whole scope 3 emissions. It might be covering 2-3 categories, not more than that. So if you see on that front, we are very much lacking on the data capture perspective. If you don't capture data, we cannot manage those data also. So coming on the force 2, that the pressure that is building from our inside systems, that is basically the energy gaps that we are facing. We have tried to incorporate our renewable energy for our textile sectors, but the demand and the quality product requirements has worsened the situation because the energy intensity has risen in spite of we are sourcing the energy from the renewable sources. If you're coming on the water front, we are going to become a water scarce nation sooner. So that will be impacting more on the waterfront because if you see already by 2050, if you see our water demand will be rising roughly 2 times, minimum 2 times it would be rising. If you see the value chain or the production line of the textile industry, it starts with the spinning, weaving, and the dyeing most after the garment. The major challenge happens at the wet processing, the dyeing area, where the 72% of the water is being used, and the emissions coming, it's roughly 50% emission of the GHG, the whole value chain is coming from the wet processing. So the water and the energy, the most challenging area for the wet processing. Coming on the force 3, that the innovation that is coming forward, it's a win-win situation also for the force 3, because this is giving the opportunity, the innovation that is happening around the technology and the policy around our globe. The technology toolbox for the especially decarbonization future in the textile sector, if you see, we have so much technology coming forward. The promising technology that is currently being piloted or the starting being implemented, it's a supercritical CO2 dyeing. Especially it's called the waterless dyeing. We are not using a single drop of water in this process. CO2 is using as a media for the transferring the dye to the fabrics. The digital printing, it's direct using the ink for the printing. No water is being used in this process also. The foam dyeing here, we are using the foams as a carrier for the dyes instead of the water. In that, we are reducing the liquor ratio for the dyeing process. And the dope dyeing, we are directly using solutions for getting the pigment into the fabric extrusions. So the technology is moving forward towards the waterless dyeings, but the challenge being the cost aspect and the technology acceptance by the industry people. So where we are coming forward, we are supporting the industries, how they can implement this technology and how what benefit they are getting out of this. And the government as an ally is coming forward through the PM Mitra schemes. It's basically the PM Mega Integrated Textile Regions and Apparel schemes. Under these schemes, government is setting up the 7 world-class textile parks where we will have a integrated modern infrastructure. We will have a treatment facility, good treatment, and also having the financial systems available for the green finances, especially for the adoption of the energy efficient technologies or the waterless dyeings. So the support is being provided by the governments. Also, the state government is moving forward and supporting these aspects. Here is
Uh,
one of the case
Um,
examples coming from
Amit,
the
I think
Navsari.
your slide is not moving, so people are concerned that I hope
Okay,
there are no slides or
no, it's lights. I am
okay,
moving.
so it was not moving. Can you reshare the slide? I think that
Just a
there is a
minute.
problem.
Just a minute.
Yes, we
Just,
are
just
still in the first slide
yeah, indeed. So
that
just take 10
Michael was
seconds on
talking
each.
about that design, that slide only.
So you have to stop sharing the slide first because it's not changing. Yeah. Now reshare. Now reshare, please. And just take us 10 seconds on each slide so people can relate because a lot of people are writing to me saying that slides are not visible. Yeah, now slides are visible. Yeah, take us to the beginning. Just spend 10 seconds and just explain what did you cover there. Yeah, go ahead. You are on mute now. Somehow you are on mute.
Yeah,
Yes,
is this fine? Yeah.
it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was talking about the opportunity that we are going to have from this textile sector on the circular economy front or the decarbonizations. So if you see for the 2019 data, that reflects that only 27 billion US dollar was impacting these sectors, but it could impact in future roughly 700 billion dollars. So the 10 times rise would be expected in 10, 11 years. So that will be impacting on a major front on the cost opportunity. Also, in this process, we are also going to get the 1/3 carbon reduction in emission front. So that will be aligning with the 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway.
We heard you properly. Only slides were not seen. So quickly
Okay.
you can take us through.
Yes. So we have it three forces that will going to impact on this: global regulations, domestic reality, and the technological innovations. We will go on the global front. It's a CBAM that is going to impact the export sector for the India because India is the global hub for the export on the textile fronts. In future, if CBAM is going to be covering the textile sector, it will be having impact on that front also. These are the snapshot of the data facts in 2022-23. Roughly 17% the exports were happening to Europe. Out of that, the 26% for the CBAM sectors. And if you cover the textile sectors, we are only right now covering 21% for the scope 3 emissions. Even though in that 21%, it might be have 2 or 3 category of the scope 3. So if we are not having that kind of data sets available with us and we don't have a value chain data, as Vivek sir already told you about the impact of the scope 3 database compilations and the accuracy. So in future, we will have an impact from the CBAM category. Coming from the pressure from the inside, we are having it from the country perspective because the Europe has already started building the pressure. So the outside pressure is building on from the inside of what we are focusing basically on the energy intensity, and the water availability. On the energy intensity, we are increasing our intensity in production side because of the demand size is rising. Also, the quality of the product is rising. So that's why intensity is rising. But we are started utilizing the renewable energy in this sector also. On the waterfront, we are soon going to be impacted by the water scarce state we are going to have. And if you see for major the water consumption is happening at the wet processing, the dyeing part of the textile value chain. So there the 72% of the total water being used at this process, and roughly the 50% of the GHG emission happens only in this process. So if the demand is going to rise, if you say roughly 3 times demand is going to rise for the water by 2050. On the third force that we are seeing in the technology innovation, it's an opportunity side also. If we have a challenge, we can have an opportunity. So the opportunity is coming forward with the innovation in the technology on the front of the waterless dyeing. So when we are reducing the water in the dyeing process, we are directly eliminating the challenge on the energy front, the energy requirement, the chemical that is not being directly utilized properly. So on that front, we are proposing the decarbonizations in the support of waterless dyeings. The government has introduced the PM Mitra schemes. Under that, the 7 world-class textile parks are being set up. With the integrated modern infrastructure facility, will have a common effluent treatment plants. It will have a complete value chain setup so that the business being smoothly managed. These the Navsari textile parks has been set up. It's one of the first cases has been built on these aspects. So how this has been planned so that the connectivity with the ports, connectivity with the national highways, and the government policy supporting the technology acquisitions for the innovative technology like energy efficient motors, or the if you go for the waterless dyeings, the government supporting on that aspects. So with the new strategic reality for the Indian textile, if you see the clubbing all these forces, so we'll have a future competitive and a leadership in textile segment, so that we will leverage the innovation also, and making our textile industry future ready. And decarbonization not now a core business imperative. Basically, evidence is with this clear. So if we comply with the CBAM, we have managed our energy and water usage, and start incorporating the technological innovations, will achieve our linear to circular models that will help decarbonizing the whole sectors. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Amit. Before I open the session to everyone, I have one question for both of you, right? And then please go ahead, unmute yourself, start your camera and ask the question. Or if you want to put your pointers, we are here to hear you. But hey, Michael, I loved your example of New York one, the schools and Amazon. But I'm curious, when you are talking about Indian textile, sorry, when you are talking about biophilic design, how do you start the conversation? What is the one thing you show to them uh, and you tell them that I need this in biophilic design? So, what's that central theme which you always focus, Michael, in biophilic design to make it sustainable?
I think it starts with the clients who are hiring architects and engineers to design buildings that incorporate biophilic design but for 2 reasons as well. You are not only providing plant and light, but you're also your building is positioned in such a way that the sun comes over it in a certain way where it doesn't go on the windows. So you can have large windows, but you need overhangs. But those overhangs can also include plants. But the conversation starts with the clients and government, especially because they are the biggest builders, because they build institutional, they build schools, they build hospitals, they build. So it really, I think the private sector, they know this because all the best architects on the planet, they understand this. And there is a challenge, and that is to convince that this implementation will save you money. If you're the end user, it's not only going to save you money, but your whatever is there is more productive. So it's up to them to also sell that building. I'm working, for instance, on a net zero building where I can convince the tenants that you can have this net zero on your letterhead, that you
Nice.
are in a net zero building, but it's
True.
also biophilically designed, and this gives you more benefits. You're going to get more productivity out of staff.
Very good. I think that definitely helps. Now, Amit, you mentioned about CBAM is starting literally this month. Of course, we know it is happening in UK and then in UK exports and in future coming in 2026 from Europe as well. We are already late, if you ask me, and that's why a lot of companies are looking for certificates uh, in the new tenders, whatever they are bidding in Poland or any of the European country. What you see will happen with the textile industry? Will that come at the same time or it will be staggered? And if it is will be staggered, what kind of timeline we can estimate?
Uh, for the textile sector, basically, they are little delayed. They started with the digital passport. They are going digital product passports. So in that, they already started the capturing the carbon emission data, the value chain of the where the carbon is intensity is happening more. So that captures is happening, but the inclusion into the CBAM, it might get delayed. Maybe by 2028, it will happen.
Clear, clear. Okay, so at least 1 or 2 year more we have for textile industry. Now we are opening session for everyone to go ahead and ask their question. Anyone who wants to type it in, I will read on their behalf. But yes, Abdul Amjad ji wants to go ahead and ask the question. Go ahead.
Thank you
And
very
your
much,
introduction before you ask the question, please.
sir. Sorry.
Your introduction for other
Okay.
people. Of course, I know you.
Yes. I am an environmental engineer, presently working in UAE as a consulting firm as a ESG manager. Prior to this, I have worked for almost 12 years in a cement plant in UAE. And before that, I was in National Productivity Council as a techno-managerial consultant. It's a government organization, works under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. While Amit was, describing about the textile sectors, I was recalling some projects from Ministry of Commerce and Industry for textile industries and other industries also. It's a very nice government project called lean manufacturing, wherein the government used to give consultancy in the technical part to that company, private company, MSME, basically MSME, and there they will, 70% government will finance, 30% they have to finance. And in that, whatever technology advancement is utilized, government will pay 70% of that. So it was a very, fantastic project, and still it is going on. So it was very interesting to know from this. Regarding that, Mr. Michael was talking about, biophilic design. So, I was very inspired by his, valid points. And recently, in India also, we have one airport, inaugurated yesterday by our Prime Minister. It's a Guwahati in Assam, which is designed as a from, in the concept of biophilic design. And it comprises all the frameworks of resource conservation, waste minimization, and UNDG, SDGs goal and GRI standards also. The airport name is Gopinath Bardulai International Airport, and they have one new terminal. So it's a classic example wherein, nature is connected with people. For example, in terms of resource conservation, if you look into, they have sourced locally bamboo for their interiors, almost 140 metric tons. And in terms of energy efficiency, it's a GRIHA 4-star rating. No, and they have a 540 kilowatt solar power plant also, and approximately saving energy up to 25%. In terms of water stewardship, they have a zero liquid discharge, and they harvest rainwater also of almost 20 million liters annually. In
Nice.
terms of
Sounds,
waste
sounds
minimization,
wonderful.
they embrace 5R principle of refuse, reduce, reuse, and repurpose and recycle. So they have a zero waste to landfill concept also. And that airport is 100% single-use plastic free since 2019. So this itself, aligns sustainable development goals of SDG 9 industry, innovation and infrastructure. Almost 19.1 million passengers, with a resilient infrastructure. And it supports regional economic development also. And it is also, supporting SDG 11, that is sustainable cities and communities, because they have a sky forest in the airport itself with 1 lakh indigenous plants. So it integrates green spaces into urban infrastructure, reducing the urban heat island effect also. As a part of SDG 12, responsible consumption is also, they are embracing because of local bamboo and granite, which minimizes the carbon footprint. And they have a SDG, they are also following SDG clean water and sanitation, that is advanced sewage treatment plant. So it's a classic example. India is already, moving forward for the biophilic design. But this concept is really very nice because it connects people with, nature. So this is all about, I wanted to just add some points because Michael is doing wonderful job. And of course, it will enhance the productivity of the people, surrounding this and working in
Yes.
that environment.
You
Thank
can
you
see
very much.
several
You
people.
know, Abdul, this is a classic example of you have a perfect um, showcase that has multiple facets to it. This is the type of project that should drive other industries by example and by, you know, um, could drive legislation because if you see things that work in real time, in real situations, then the government has to enact, but also companies should be put into a position where they see that benefit and they should use it as well. I love bamboo. From the moment I spent time in Asia, I think it's the best material on the planet. And, it's grass, it's not a tree. And it is so sustainable and it can be used for everything.
Indeed.
Yes, of course, sir, of course. And we're seeing plants, no, backside of you. That also is a, effect
Yeah,
of
well,
biophilic.
my office is completely covered in plants. Actually, I will give you an idea. My office is, I talk the talk and I walk the walk.
Indeed. Indeed. No, thank you very much for that input, Abdul Amjad. Really nice and good you have collected the data and share with us. Anybody else who has some question or suggestion or an input? Yeah, and you can see a lot of people have given a clapping and appreciated your efforts, Abdul. Really appreciated.
I think Singapore it gets too much credit because it was at the forefront, to be honest,
Yes,
and
yes,
it is
correct.
wonderful. But I think India doing something, and maybe in some ways doing it even on another level, is a wonderful aspect that we all. I'm going to actually look it all up myself after we. I want to learn more about that airport.
Our Bangalore airport also comprises lots of plants, So when
Yes,
you go inside, you will feel very nice ambience and aesthetics like this.
that is also a biophilic design they have utilized. So Bangalore Airport, Michael, when you will be arriving here, you will be seeing the same airport, but that's an international airport, and it has a lot of biophilic ingredients in that, right? So this is one of the Asia's greenest airport as well. It has been counted yet not been certified, but hopefully very soon they will have it. So that's a development there. No, that is what we are talking about, right? So that how India can drive a successful future along with looking into such a smaller it wins, which has a large impact. And culturally, India has all this, ingredients available. We need to go and explore that more and more at our benefit, which we have seen in the case of Guwahati new airport, which Abdul Amjad was talking about. Now, if nobody has a question, then we will be doing the closing. Yeah.
Vishesh does.
Okay, Vishesh Kapoor. Okay, Vishesh, go ahead, introduce yourself and ask your question. And if you can start your camera.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Myself Vishesh Kapoor, and I am a part of ESG Mastery Pro program also. And in this carbon and sustainable future, I am working in this domain. So, adding to what Sir Abdul Sir has said, the Bangalore airport, they are using the bamboo design. If you can see the terminal 2, they have used the bamboo design, and the nickname is given garden in a small orchard. So
Yes,
that was the point I was adding.
good point there. Indeed, it is a garden in a
Yes,
small
sir.
orchard, and
I
they
can't
have done
wait to
that part.
visit.
Sorry, Michael.
Indranil, I can't wait to visit. Indranil has his name up as well.
Indeed. Yes, Indranil, go ahead. Your introduction, please, and question or suggestion.
I am Indranil. I am a civil engineer by education. Not as long ago as Michael, maybe half that. And I am currently into the sustainability field under the able tutorship of Vivek ji. I'm trying to pick up the threads from him. So my question was to both of you. Michael, very small question. If you could share some examples of biophilic designs in other countries, not in India. India, we have got a very good example from Abdul Amjad ji, and then again Vishesh, who mentioned Bangalore Airport. Incidentally, when the airport, the second terminal was being constructed, I played a very small part in it. I was one of the people who supplied material to that. I was in Bangalore at that point of time. So I had a very small association with the Bangalore airport. So if you could share some more examples of biophilic designs in other places. And my one small question, especially in India, if you want to integrate sunlight into the interior space, and you have to keep the large windows, as you said, there is one way which I can say, which is a very old Indian way. My old ancestral house also has it. We had something called in the windows. We had the shaded windows where you could pull down the shade or pull it up with small the window frame, the wooden frame was divided like this serrated, yeah, the air could come in, and but the sunlight got did not enter to keep the rooms
It was diffused.
keep the rooms cool. But to incorporate the sunlight in a hot Indian condition, the subcontinent,
Well,
how would you do it? That is one concern,
well,
because uh,
you
just
see,
yeah, please.
it's partly it's how you place the building, in which direction and where your windows are, and then the overhangs that you have
See, the
above your window.
overhangs, there is a limit to the extent of the overhang as per the building codes. Second, your how you place the building would depend a lot about the position of the plot and the position of the road in front of it. So
Well,
there
but
is
that's
not much you could do about that.
Well, actually, there is. There is solutions on the shape and direction of your building. I don't know about the overhang issue uh, of
The extent,
regulatory
yeah,
authorities
there is
in
in certain
India,
places it
but
is.
um, there are ways now, and what we are doing, for instance, in our net zero building, we are incorporating shades that are actually solar panels. And now the solar panels, they don't look like a solar panel.
So
They
vertical
look like,
walls, you're saying, the
yes,
vertical
and
solar panels. Okay.
yes, but what they are also is now they have over 100 different surfaces. So it
Mhm.
doesn't look like a solar panel at all. It can look like a terrazzo tile,
Yeah, yeah, I have
but
seen
it's a
that.
solar panel. So We are
Okay.
looking at different ways in which to incorporate this. But again, it comes, this building placement. Yes, I understand. And I've had this discussion kind of with clients where they've got, this rectangular plot and we want X amount of square meters and but when you start calculating your easements and all the rest of it, because you can't build on the entire plot.
Yeah.
You can
FAR
still
ratios.
you can still turn the building in different ways. Many clients don't, they don't like to do this. And in fact, the interesting thing is I lived in Asia for 15 years and there's a whole different way they look at things in Feng Shui and the wind and
Yeah,
the rain.
Vastu, we call it the Vastu
Yeah,
Shastra.
Vastu.
Yeah.
Feng
And
Shui, Vastu.
and it actually it is more compliant to having a proper placement that can effectuate a much more efficient building, both for cooling and heating and everything else. So, I think the challenge is getting clients to understand positioning. There's trade-offs that you may have to make, but again, it's the creativity of architects. We as engineers, we are all about, how the thing is going to be constructed, constructability. We look at structures, we look at mechanical, electrical, all of these different things. But I think what I've seen, and to give you examples, most of the large architectural firms that I've worked with, and big ones like Foster's and HKS and HOK, they're all implementing in their hospital projects and and doing some interesting work all over the world, in the Middle East, especially because this is an especially, challenging environment to deal with. Even though we have lots of, my arguments are don't go up, go out, because actually in places like, Saudi and even Oman, there's lots of land. What they're not understanding is have better traffic and transport infrastructure, plan better where you have things, and use more of the land to go low rise rather than high rise, and you'll be able to incorporate, biophilic design and other things that will make more efficient buildings.
And it's cheaper
And when
also.
you
The
do,
construction is also
of
much cheaper.
course, and getting
Much,
into
much cheaper.
modular construction and with modular construction ways, you lighten your foundations. There's a lot of aspects that we can incorporate, and it's more of a holistic approach. But by the time we have a building constructed, it is important that liveness around. And I'm so encouraged by your talk about the airport that's being built or that was built, and I look forward to coming to see Bangalore Airport. In fact, I'd like to even go to the other airport, even just to fly in to see it, because these things inspire people that what can be done. And because everybody talks about the challenges, nobody talks too much about the successes. And most business people, and I didn't mention, I have a finance background as well. I have an MBA from Harvard Business School, and I look at what the cost is of everything. And I still, maintain that incorporating different things into the building, your long-term cost, and that's what all businesses are looking for. It's what we can do today that are going to save us money down the road, and it's not just in the materials that are materials that are nature-based.
Eco-friendly.
Eco-friendly. Yes,
Eco-friendly material.
that's the term I was looking for. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So, Michael, if you're so interested, I can just give you another example in India also. You can look it up. There's a school in Rajasthan, in the Thar
Yes.
Desert.
I've seen it.
Yeah, then
It
you
is
should
designed,
also,
yeah.
Oval
it is a
design.
circular design.
It's fantastic. And,
Yeah, it's-
but they should, you see, these type of things, they should be picking up and taking it to Africa. and taking it to other countries that have similar
Replicating.
climatic and similar environments and say, here's the solution. We got it already. You don't have to figure it out, or you can
Even
come
in
and
Abu Dhabi also, sir. Abu Dhabi Istidama projects now. That is also all green buildings.
we are
Very much economic and savings
we are
also.
trying we are
In fact, they
trying to
have
get
the mandatory to government offices in Abu Dhabi that if you build any building, it should be at least 3-star rating,
yeah,
Istidama.
yeah.
That
Well,
itself
we are trying to do
supports
it here.
Indian green buildings. Yeah,
Achha, there is
concept.
one very interesting question in our chat box. Anybody wants to take? Otherwise, I will take. And the question is all about he wants to make a career move and sustainability and green energy. And he's asking a question there, how to start. And after Trump negating the sustainability effort, which is most interesting part, and reducing the US budget, is it a right time to enter into this area? First of all, Rohit, thank you very much for asking a creative question, a challenging question. And let me first try to unpack it, and anybody wants can chip in. Uh, and question which is responsible humans should ask is this, that whether it makes sense to their career. Federal climate policy will not decide what India will do. That is first differentiation, and we are sitting in India. First one and foremost one, we should not too much dependent on foreign currency, specifically in this scenario. Now, current US federal policy, which your question is seeking to roll back, right? Climate action, which somehow IRA was trying to chip it in. That was the time Biden tried to bring it by force, which of course looks like will not go anywhere. So my problem is with this question is there is a reporting that administration has pursued deregulation and energy policy shift has happened. Even SEC has taken back their hand with the regulation they were bringing for their reporting cycle on along with the financial reporting, including Environmental Protection Agency being uncertain about the programs like Inflation Reduction Act, which we know even they are fighting with Trump is fighting with Elon Musk on the same. So that being said, federal headwinds are obvious. Renewable energy and deployment and clean tech still grew significantly. You can't ignore that part. The solar farming, the solar energy, which is generating a lot of energy in America, in USA, cannot be ignored. And the jobs in that area, clean energy, cannot vanish in a day. You cannot vanish that, right? So might not be expanding. Yes, I will take your input there for sure, and Renit. But macro driver is this, that underlying system is changing. Is it a right time to enter sustainability and green energy? Yes. There is a astounding yes from my side, and I believe most of us sitting here knows that for a fact. Because the shift is structural. It is not political shift. Okay, the sustainability shift is a structural. Renewables are cheaper. How many of you know that? Very much cheaper. I just recorded a video on Andhra Pradesh Pinnakulam has created 6.5 gigawatts integrated plant, one of the largest in planet Earth. One of the largest. It's operational. It is live. Listen to my video, which I have recorded recently. And carbon is getting priced. So compare renewable energy is going down, carbon is getting priced, right? Supply chains are being audited, capital is flowing forward, transition, resilience, you name it. Trillions of dollars are lying now around to get invested. The demand exists in India, nowhere else. When the largest solar power, plant, largest integrated, energy plant, which India needs. India doesn't need only solar power because our peak is too much. When it peaks, we do not want to become another Spain. So my point is Middle East, Asia, regardless of what Washington is doing at this point in time, and with his tweets and Truth Social, etc. If you want to start, you can start with any lane. Could be ESG reporting, GHG accounting, renewable finance, energy transition strategy, carbon markets. One of the largest market is going to happen, and we have not even seen the trailer of that picture, the carbon market picture. Okay,
yeah.
Correct, Michael? That market is going to be
Absolutely.
enormous, and it will explode. Right?
We're
Bottom
just
line
at
is, sorry.
we're just at the very beginning of the future of carbon credits and application and everything else. It is not, and I just want to say about Trump.
Please
Look,
go ahead before Indranil comes
we
in.
are missing, we are all missing one thing about Trump that he keeps talking about, and he keeps saying, America first. Great, wonderful. I applaud you if that's how, which means then what we should be doing is India first. I would not take any context that, yes, there's impact by what he does, but that impact can also be obviated by what we do. And India has the opportunity. There's a part of all of this that America needs India actually more than India needs America, to be honest with you. When you look at it,
No doubt
you
about it.
have to, and the indigenousness of the market in India has so much more potential. And if India focuses, and I've watched this happen, living in Asia, China focuses on China. What the hell cares about the rest of the world? And what have they done? They've taken a country that was virtually peasants in 1970s with no mechanization. I was in China in 1979. I went on trains outside of Beijing and outside of Shanghai. I didn't see one piece of mechanized equipment. All I saw were donkey carts. I saw oxen. I didn't see one piece of mechanization. What are they now? They so far exceed Europe and North America in infrastructure and
Indeed.
everything. It's out of this world. My one word of advice for the young fellow, look, do something that you're passionate about. Whatever it is. But don't look so much at, well, the opportunity is there. The opportunity is in everything that you are really, really interested in. You're only going to be really good at something that you really care about and you're interested in doing. So focus on that first, then do it.
And yeah, before Andranil, please go ahead. Your point, and then I will tell last closing
Yeah,
remarks.
I just wanted to add 3 points to what this guy, whatever you said and what Michael said. Though there is a regulation and Trump pushing back, I'll give you one direct example. 2 years back, the company I work for, we run warehouses for Ford. Ford, as everyone knows, is it is the largest automobile company in the United States and the second largest in the world. They're headquartered in the United States. So we run their complete warehousing facilities in India. So when I joined as a part of my responsibility in promoting sustainability, I proposed to set up solar power to convert all the warehouses to solar, and it went into a cold storage. At that time, Biden was the president. On Friday, on actually on Wednesday, when Trump is already pushing back, Ford has sent us a mail. Please propose to change the transition or our warehouses from the grid into solar, and how much carbon footprint we can save. They asked for the savings of not the bills. They asked
Mhm.
for the savings on the carbon footprinting.
Wow.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
American company headquartered in Detroit, which is Trump's core base,
True.
they are asking us to, and when we had proposed 2 years back, it was Biden era. They did not move it then. They were sleeping. It went into the cold storage. We followed up. Nothing happened. Now they are coming back and asking us, please, how much can we save? So either their management or this is not political will. Definitely, this is not political will. This is beyond political will. This is either the
Uh-huh.
management will, consumer that I don't know. Maybe their investors are pushing them. That I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, India doesn't require it. Neither regulations are there, but their company is asking for carbon reduction options in India. So that is
They are
one
looking
example.
at, I can tell you right now, they are looking at what their carbon footprint is because they're going to be rated. And in order for them to compete with other manufacturers,
Possibly,
they
possibly.
have to have a carbon footprint rating. And that they have to buy a lot of carbon credits to offset what they've done. These people are number counters. They are not stupid people. They don't give a
True,
shit
true,
what anybody says, Biden or any of this.
true,
They're
true.
looking at their bottom line. Where are we going to be 5 years from now? How much do we have to buy in carbon credits? How do we reduce that carbon footprint today that is going to see us through the future? People are seeing this.
True,
And
true.
and we're only at that very little beginning of the whole. This is a whole different field, which is going to be carbon credit trading, carbon credit assessment, carbon credit, acknowledgement of, it's going to be huge.
Indeed, indeed.
Indeed. This second example I would like to give is a friend of mine. She is working in Bechtel. So Bechtel is an Indian company. It's into construction. They are getting tenders month after month to set up solar power plants in rural mid America, rural Central America, which is core Trump country. And those counties are setting up solar power plant by the square kilometers. They're setting up solar power plants.
The land is available and it is
Land is
cheapest
available.
mode. It is
Agriculture
cheapest.
is going on. This
Yes,
is a mixed agriculture come solar zone they are setting up. And they're doing it by the kilometers.
indeed.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes,
So,
they have lots
doing
of projects like that wherein that animals can graze in the bottom
Correct. In the
yes,
and they
shade.
correct,
can do
correct.
the solar.
The
That type
grazing
of
is
project
going
is
on,
there.
the vegetation is below, and the solar power plants are above.
ఆర్సిపి బదులు
but keep
బ్యాంబూతో కాంక్రీట్
keep
వేసింది
in
నిజమే
mind something with them setting up the solar. By the way, Bechtel is an American company.
American,
Oh,
it's
sorry, Bechtel is
American
an,
company. It's
and she
American.
works in
And
the Indian Gurgaon office.
Yeah,
yeah,
Actually, it's
but
an
it is
American
anyway,
company.
American
Sorry,
company.
anyway,
It's
sorry.
an
what
American
I what you
multinational
guys
construction company.
what
Okay,
Sorry.
so
what I just wanted to mention to you, the problem in America right now, they cannot install enough alternative energy to be able to drive even 1/10 of the demand for data centers.
Data centers. Yeah,
And
Trump
so
inaugurated the year, na?
what they're
So,
doing, but they can't do it fast enough. What they are doing in 3 states right now, in North Carolina and Vermont and Tennessee, they're building new
nuclear.
coal-fired plants.
But nuclear is
Coal-fired,
also coming up.
it's coming, but it's not. There's only one plant that's actually being built at the moment. But the big thing there, the scary thing is that they don't have a choice. So they're building coal-fired plants because they're fast, easy to build. They got all the components, and regulatory is nothing.
supply chain is available. The best part is
Yes,
for coal
everything is
is
there.
But
Yeah,
Michael,
they can put it up in less than a year.
so in the
okay.
coal-fired plants in US, just one point, Vivek ji, just so I want to understand it. Does the coal-fired plants in US require a mandatory FGD system installed?
No, no,
They have
because they have
polluters
a
pay
lot of
EPA,
principle.
coal.
Just you pollute and pay the fine.
yeah,
Polluters
know,
pay.
EPA
FGDs
has
is
So
not.
they
that
are
a
following
lot of
system.
only.
they have a lot of coal that they can't do anything with. It's
No, what
cheap
I'm saying is
for
Environmental
them.
Protection Agency has a recommendation that you should install FGD, but not while constructing it. Okay, you can make that decision. So, thank you very much. You had 3 points, by the way.
Okay,
We
yeah.
have
The
only covered the
third point
two.
is the very last short and sweet point. The same one of the similar kind of questions was asked to our MD, who is a German. He answered in just one line. See, Trump is for 4 years. 1 year is already gone. So balance is 3 years. Business is for posterity.
Indeed. And that is why this was the question from Rohit. So, Rohit, remember, sustainability is no longer a choice or a moral choice. Okay. You can make money. What Michael said, follow your passion. Today world, you can make money by dancing. Okay. But if you want to really make a career out of it, you have to take a serious business which has a future repercussions. The right time to join this bandwagon was yesterday. Okay. The second best time is now. So anyone who is waiting for perfect policy, perfect geopolitical situation, will still be waiting. Other will build career, and a country like India developed by 2047. With that, I have come to an end of my closing session. We will be discussing after my closing statement as well. Just give me 20 seconds. Future escape dialogues, which is for the purpose of shaping India at 2047, a resilient, responsible, and recognized developed country. As we close today, Future Escape Dialogue session number one, teaser has done in December on December 5th. I want to begin with sincere thank you. Thank you. Thank to Michael first, who took his time out, did enough research to guide us. Thanks to Amit. All of them, by the way, are part of our team as well. Thank to Abdul Amjad ji. He is also part of our team. And of course, he is sitting in Dubai. And Indraneel ji, who has also been with us for now more than 8 months, of course, in independent capacity as a personal capacity. Now, what we discussed today goes far beyond individual sector or isolated environmental, social, and governance team. I can't forget Vises as well. Vises is also part of our team. Now, it speaks directly to, and I'm saying all part of our team means they are our student, they are working with us, they are interacting with us, kind of, okay? Don't think they are working means as an employee. They have their own big domain to carry. Indranil Mati is CXO in the company, in his company, in a German-based company. Now, it speaks directly to Indian pathway, whatever we have discussed today, to become a developed, responsible, and sustainable nation by 2047. Of course, net zero target is 2070 for India, but once we will be developed, those target can be shortened. Money can buy anything. Do you remember that? One of the most important reality today, which resurfaced today, is this. A scope 3 emission, which I was talking about, accounts for nearly 75% of most of the corporate carbon footprint. Ignoring it is not going to take us anywhere. Specifically, we have to focus on MSME and hold them as a big brother. The large company has to handhold them. I'm not saying that you should spend millions of dollars on your MSME getting improvised, but many of whom who lack serious access to a standardized data systems specifically, please look into that aspect as a senior brother or big brother. Second, at ESGPro Institute, this is exactly where we focus our work on, bridging the ambition with execution, which I'm trying to do today as well. We believe in decarbonization, which cannot succeed without enabling individual like you, without enabling a small player who are just wishing today to transition themselves in this area. Michael insight on biophilic design today was powerful human dimension to this discussion. This data was compelling. 20 to 30% productivity improvement in a school premise was quite an achievement there. Now, it was achieved through fundamental things like daylight, natural material, airflow, connection to nature. And look how he linked it. These traditional values are already there in our Vastu Shastra, Feng Shui, in traditional wisdom which we have. So don't ignore that traditional business, irrespective of I am wearing suit. I love to still follow certain traditional. If it helps us, what's the harm to take advantage of that? What is especially powerful is Indian context here, that many of these principles are not new to us. Okay, traditional system, whatever I said, Feng Shui or the Vastu was a framework which is currently used even in climate responsive designs, focused on orientation, light, energy flow, human well-being. Reintegrating this indigenous wisdom into modern science is not regression, everyone. It's a resilient design thinking rooted in context. Amit grounded conversation today, and he comes from Namami Gange project background, which success also he has seen in Varanasi and failures as well, right? And he comes from that. He talked about wet processing and textile account for 72% of water use, isn't it? If we'll just look in that area, half of textile water consumption can be reduced because 50% of emission is happening there. Upcoming CBAM regulation, which he highlighted, expected to come in 2028. Hopefully, we do not go to that level. Before that, we improve too much. And traditional textile practices, again, traditional ones, even though in modern society, we need to integrate them and bring those artisanal khadi udyog, gram udyog teams integrated into our modern system. A lot of startups in Bangalore, etc., are doing that. Hopefully, PM Mitra scheme, which was talked about Abdul Amjad Nazir today, right? Clean technology again linked with the traditional routing. This is precisely ESG Pro Mastery Institute and Futurescape India 2047 exists for, and our mission is only three: reporting to resilience, compliance with competitiveness, and global frameworks with Indian ready execution mindset, right? That's what the Future Escape dialogues will now continue twice in a month, definitely once in a month on 21st of every month. So don't miss out. How does India grow responsibly while becoming a developed by 2047? And we'll be calling famous personalities as well going forward. This was just a second and a start of our discussion. We'll look forward to continuing this conversation with you twice a month and the way 2047 looks like. So thank you and see you soon. And any question you have now, go ahead and contribute and ask.
Just Michael's biophilic design project. I'm just remembering one quote. A man doesn't plant a tree for himself, he does it for posterity. So really, he's doing a wonderful job. Yes. Thank you.
The best time to plant a tree is yesterday.
Yeah.
Indeed. And the second best day is today. So try
Yes.
to do it. We have given a link for Google review. Please go ahead and put your open reviews there. It might help somebody who might be interested in such kind of open and free programs, right? This we will be running every twice a week on 21st of every month. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming in, and pleasure is mine to host you today. Looking forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye-bye. Sayonara. Uh, Indranilji, next time, I think you should be taking a topic as well. I believe that will be open invitation to you. Look into which one you want to do and how. And that will be happening, of course, after 5th of January. So,
Okay. No issues.
yeah,
I
so
just had
just
a
select a
question
topic,
for
let us
Amit.
know, and we want you
Actually,
to.
actually, I
Yes.
had a question for Amit.
But
That
you
time,
go
as
ahead,
in
go ahead, go
Michael
ahead.
was answering, so it
No,
got
no, go
away.
ahead, go ahead. He's
Yeah,
there.
Amit, as you mentioned, these the new
Technologies.
improvements, new technologies. So can you just give us an idea ki what is the cost difference between the new technology and the existing one, which is more water intensive,
Eh,
both the
Taking the
capex wise
yes.
as well as the running cost, both.
Okay. Coming on the front of capex wise, the best technology available on the water dyeing, it's a basically jet flow and the soft flow, and the critical super CO2. It's times on the capital
Cost
front
more
cost
expensive.
more expensive.
That is holding back.
But on the operating front, it's a lesser
And
because of the
what is the recovery period?
recovery period. If I talk on the ROI front, it would be roughly on the 3 to 5 years.
If you compare these two,
On
the
these two front
incremental
only.
cost, 5 times you're paying. So how fast would you recover that? And
In five
what
years.
is the maintenance cost taking everything, which is ultimately life cycle wise, which will come out as cheaper?
Yeah. Within 5 years, it will be recovered all the capital cost.
Okay, the new technology.
New technology.
And the old ones, how long does it take up? The current, yeah?
It's take hardly 2.5 years.
Okay. So any government scheme is there with their government is
Yes.
encouraging to for
Yes.
shift or something?
Government has a Aditi scheme under the BE. They are supporting the energy efficient technologies, and also the green funds are coming from the corporates. Recently, the I think H&M has supported the one
Vivekji,
of the
you're
industry.
mute.
Yeah, by the way, recently NABARD has collected of another 1,004 crores rupees fund. Okay, they are launching a second startup fund, and part of it will come into clean tech.
Okay.
Yeah, so
For
there are
textile
several
or
schemes.
general?
Yeah, general
General,
purpose.
General. Okay.
but Aditi scheme is especially for they are supporting the textile industry also on that front. But that is the only the on the loan. They are giving the subvention loan. So
Subvention,
they
loan
are,
subventions.
only
And
that.
you were part of Namami Gange.
Earlier I was the part, but right now I'm
Independent
disconnected,
now.
independent working, but I still connected with them.
But so why is it failing? And after around, see, it started in, I believe,
Now you are not part,
1980.
he's asking you. Now you are not part of it, so he's asking.
Yeah,
See,
it started in, I'll tell you, one
it-
of our professors was the person who initiated the Ganga Action Plan, Mr. Niloy Basu. He was the
Oh,
person who drafted the Ganga Action Plan in
85,
1984, 84,
84.
85. So
Yes,
he was our professor in college. Uh, and today, 2025, still around 72% of the sewage that goes into Ganga is untreated. 72 or 78%, right?
very right, very right.
40
Yes,
years, huh? 40
40
years.
years, 40 years.
40 years. We can't clean up the sewage.
Hmm. So, coming on that front, I will take the two era, 1985 to 2014, and from the 2014 to now, the Namami Gange program.
The
Earlier it was the Ganga Action Plan.
pre-independence and
Like
post-independence.
that, yes, you can say. Earlier it was the Ganga Action Plan. It's after 2004 Namami Gange
Namami
programs.
Gange, yeah, true.
Yeah. So in Ganga Action Plan, the actions were majorly focused on the technology front. Technology, also importing the technology. So the STPs that were installed, the sewage treatment plants, they were installed based on the